Hey guys, today's video is just me talking again. This is going to be one of those videos where I'm just blabbing and blabbing. Just know that that's all this is. I don't even have anything to show anybody. I'm just here to talk. We're going to talk about how I declutter perfumes. My method, my strategies, I just sometimes need that little push because like I told you guys before, I'm kind of a hoarder and I can justify keeping anything. And I mean anything. Even something that I don't wear, I will find a reason to keep it. So I have to have these measures put in place that push me, give me the nudge that I need to finally declutter some things. This was subscriber requested. Thank you for requesting that. I was already kind of, getting a list for myself, but now I'm going to share that list with you guys. I don't have it on paper, so I might forget some things, but I'm just going to go from what I remember. All right, so this is going to be into steps. I might even make a whole flow chart. If you guys want a flow chart of should you keep it or should you declutter it, and so it tells you yes or no, I might do that just for funsies. Because I actually walked my friend through this list, and she was able to potentially declutter a few. And she was like, oh, I see, this works, I like it. So it kind of motivated me to want to share this even more with you guys. All right, so it's going to go into steps, and not all of these steps are going to work for everyone. So if the first one doesn't make a whole lot of sense, just give me a second, wait till I get to the second part of it. That's when it gets a little more cutthroat and a little bit easier to decipher, right? So step number one that I like to do is I like to think of realistically what are like the occasions that I have perfume for. You know how we have date night sexy perfumes, we have office work type of perfumes that are, work friendly or things like that. We have everyday easy reach perfumes. We have our freshies or summery springtime perfumes. We have our special occasion, super dressed up kind of perfumes. So I like to think of all of those categories as what am I doing the most of and what am I doing the least of and things like that. So that way, so the amount of perfumes that you have matches kind of the amount of time that you spend doing those things. So the amount of perfumes that you have matches the amount of time that you spend during those categories. So for example, if you never get dressed up and wear dresses and go out, and you have 50 going out dressed up perfumes, it doesn't really make sense if you're going out once or twice a year. It would make more sense to have less, more like 5 to 10. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I always go towards more like sexy going out perfumes, but I'm rarely doing that. So obviously it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, So if during the summer you're not really a freshies person, you don't need to have 20 freshies. Do you know what I mean? So that's where I start to find a category where I should go look for things that I could declutter. If I have 50 date night perfumes and I'm not really going on date nights, then I start looking at my date night perfumes. You know what I mean? Except I'm not, because those are some of my favorite, and so are my gourmands. It's like, don't touch those. But the places where I can look, or more like special occasions and things like that. Okay, so once you have down the categories of occasions that you wear your perfumes to, you can go and see what perfumes you have, for example, for freshies that you wear during just the really hot summer weeks, maybe whether it's a month or two for you. And a lot of times, even going through our perfumes, we kind of know in the back of our mind what we don't reach for. I don't know about you guys, but I have this where like I know, but I don't necessarily want to admit it, but I kind of know, oh, I actually haven't worn this for like a good year, or I haven't worn this or touched this for 6 months, or the summer went by and I never reached for this one summer perfume. You kind of have an idea in the back of your mind what you haven't been reaching for. So what you would do now is pull some of those forward without thinking I want to declare these. Just think like, oh, I haven't worn this, I actually haven't reached for this, and you're gonna start to grab a few. So after you've grabbed a few from those different piles, those different categories, or whatever you haven't reached for, you would gather those perfumes, and then you would ask yourself the following questions. And this is where it's going to get a little bit more serious, and where I'm not going to tell you what to declutter. You're going to know. You're just going to know once you ask yourself these questions. So you're gonna grab one of the perfumes from your category and you're gonna ask yourself, do I have something very similar to this? And try to think, you know, what's very similar, what kind of resembles it, what has a similar vibe. And once you think of something else, again, if this doesn't apply, then skip this step and go to the next one. Once you figured out what thing is very similar, you're going to ask yourself, when I want to wear this type of scent, which one of these would I pick up? Would I pick up this one first, the one that's in question? And if the answer is no, if you would pick up the other one, ask yourself why. Whatever the reason is why you don't, keep that in mind. Why wouldn't you pick that up first? So that alone tells you that when you're reaching for that type of perfume, it doesn't come first. So then you could ask yourself, what occasion do I see myself wearing this perfume to? What occasions or type of events or where am I going to give this? And when you think of that event, like let's say the event is to the office or to work, then you would ask yourself, if I was going to work right now or tomorrow, is this going to be my first choice? Would this be my first choice? Can you think of 5 perfumes that you would wear instead of that one? Can you think of 10 perfumes that you would wear instead of that one? If the answer is yes, you can think of 10 you would wear and reach for and grab for instead of that one. That's telling you something again. Maybe it's time to let it go. So once you have that in your mind, okay, so now there is 20 perfumes that I would wear ahead of this one. That should tell you something. And then the next question that I like to go to is, if I smelled this at the store right now, would I want to buy it? Would I want to bring this home? Would I be like, ooh, I'm so excited, I want to take this home? And that should tell you a lot as well. Because if you're not excited to buy it and you have it and you're not wanting to let it go. Another thing to ask yourself is, how many times have I worn it in the past 6 months or in the past year? And then the next question I ask myself, if I have not worn it in the past 6 months or the last year or so, I ask myself, am I okay with this sitting there and potentially going bad? Would I be okay with it? Would I be like, or would I be devastated because it costs $200? Or if is it a $10 perfume that I'm like, I'd be okay if it happens to go bad. It is what it is, whatever, at least I kept it. So you would have to ask yourself that, are you okay with this potentially going bad in the next year or two? If that were to be the case. So that's one thing to ask yourself. The next question I also ask myself is, and this question is not for people pleasers, like not at all, this doesn't work for people pleasers, but if you're not a people pleaser, you could ask yourself, if a loved one came over right now, a family member or a loved one, and they were like, oh my gosh, this perfume smells amazing, I love it. Would you be okay giving it to them? Would you be like, well, I don't really use it. Yeah, keep it. And it makes them happy and it brings them so much joy. Would you be okay letting it go to them? And again, if the answer is yes, then you don't love it that much. So if your answers keep being like where this is not a very important perfume to you and you're holding on to it, there is the potential that it's going to go bad. So you really have to start considering letting it go. And it kind of just makes you think. Once I've gone down that list, I also ask myself, can I make any money off of this? And if I could instead use that money, towards something else that I have been wanting, then it feels like it's the right thing to do to sell it. If I can sell it and make some money, then why not? You know, why not? I have so much perfumes. Why wouldn't I just sell it, get some of my money back, recover some of my money, instead of have a perfume that's potentially going to go bad, that I haven't reached for in a long time, and that's not my priority to reach for, and that I have other ones that I prefer. So I don't know if that was helpful, but that is kind of the thing I do with each perfume. But another thing that I do, once I start to grab those from the shelves, I will put those separately and just keep them there to see if I reach for them. I can even test them out. Sometimes I'll just spray them on my hand and kind of smell them throughout the day. It might not even be the perfume I'm wearing, but I'm kind of sniffing it, or when I'm home, I'll have it smelling it. And I feel like wearing a perfume, if you're undecided, wearing a perfume really is going to tell you the whiffs that you get are when I know if I love it or dislike it or feel indifferent about it. That's when I know, by getting the whiffs. It's not always by like just smelling it, because there's some perfumes that I love that I wasn't like blown away by smelling them, but once you're wearing them and you're getting those whiffs, that's when you like fall in love. That's when I get obsessed and fall in love with the perfume. So another thing you can do is just test them out. Like I said, just spray it on your arm when you're home. Spray it and just catch those whiffs. And you'll know when you catch those whiffs if there's something that bothers you in it, if there's something that makes you hesitant to reach for it. This is technically like another thing that I go through, where I ask myself if there's something that has stopped me from wearing it if I haven't worn it. Like sometimes it's that something is really, really strong, so that kind of stops me if I'm going to be around a lot of people and I don't want to offend anybody. Or if it's something that potentially bothers a person that lives with you or close to you. These are all things that are going to make you hesitant to reach for it. So being hesitant to reach for something is enough to put this perfume into question, and then you can go down the list. But if there is something in there that's preventing you, that's like stopping you and being like, I can't really wear it this day, I can't really wear it to this thing, then it's a very finicky perfume if there's something that's holding you back. So that's another thing you really, really want to keep in mind in those perfumes. And it could be something that you really like, that you enjoy, or that you almost feel a sense of obligation to like that perfume, but there is just something in there that just prevents you from wearing it or loving it, you know? So I really try to pay attention to those things, because if there's something that makes you hesitant to wear it, you're not going to be likely to reach for it or to be excited to wear it, right? I think this video has been all over the place, but I hope that my point comes across. I hope that in editing, this can make some sense. That is kind of the list that I go down with. That's kind of the list that I check when I am thinking about potentially decluttering a perfume. I ask myself all of those things. That's how I decluttered so many of the perfumes that I've decluttered, that I know I won't reach for, but I still really like them. But I just know, because I either have something similar or there's something that prevents me from wearing it. There's just so many reasons, and there's so many things and so many excuses to keep things that we don't love, aren't wearing. So I have to like counteract that by having all of these questions. Am I overthinking all of this? It's just perfume and I have like a whole ass checklist, but I have to, okay? This is the only way that it works. This is how mind works. If it's easy for you to let things go and you're just constantly decluttering, like, I want to be like you, I'm not like you, so that's why I need these lists. So much work, huh? It's like I'm doing like mental gymnastics here to try to keep fragrances that I should not be keeping, so that's why I need a list like this. So that's my list. If you guys have any other tips and tricks, let me know. I keep going through my perfumes with that type of eyes, with that set of questions. So that's how I keep decluttering perfumes, and I'm probably going to declutter more, because my ultimate goal is to get down, like ultimate goal, like in 2 years, maybe 2-3 years, is to get down to under 200 fragrances. But 200 sounds like a lot, but I include anything larger than a sample size. So I maybe have like 40 to 50 travel sprays or oils, or anything that's bigger than a sample size is included in my total number. And that's what I mean by I want to have around 200 of everything included. So that's also why I'm doing like project pans and things like that, especially of smaller bottles, because I'm really just trying to get rid of all the little stuff, because I'm counting it in my total. Because even though it's not a full-size bottle, if I'm not going through it, it doesn't even matter if it's tiny or huge, I'm still not going through it or wearing it. So it still counts to me in having a different option or variety, you know? If I can wear it, I still have the perfume, even if it's a small one. So that would be the goal. I think it's doable. I think I can get there, but it's going to take some using up some perfumes and decluttering quite a bit of perfumes still to go. And I just really want to be realistic about what I can wear, and some of these things I don't want them to sit there and go bad. And some of these perfumes that I have are taking away from the perfumes that I love, so I have to keep decluttering so that I do not let the ones I love sit there. I don't want to get distracted with mediocre perfumes when I can be wearing amazing perfumes, right? All right, so thank you guys for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me today. If you have any other tips and tricks, again, let me know. I would love to know. I need all the help I can get towards this. All right, thank you guys. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.